Mobile One.
Troy belt tiller.
This video's got a bunch of gems in it. One, it's about shielded seals. You don't get to see those very often. They can be really hard to remove. But also what can happen if you remove them improperly. If you damage a shaft, that can get you into hot water. We'll show you how to get back out of the hot water if you've done that, and show you some custom tools that I've made that make this job a whole lot easier. All in all, I think you should have some pretty good takeaways from this and be able to tackle it on your own. These seals are kung fu tough, which should make them hard to remove, but we're going to use the toughness to help us.
We've got vinyl tape. You'll know it as electrical tape. We've got spray silicone. We've got a few tools in case things get sideways. One of the tools that we're using is a Dremel, and the reason why is it's really hard to get to the seal. I'd like to draw your attention here to this pin. Just flip it, pull it up, get it level again, and that gets you in close enough to the rim to come out. Pull up on one side consistent and then wiggle the other side. Come right off. You're going to clean all this mess off. I just start at the top, work around, do the same from the other side. So the best way to do these shielded seals is to either poke a hole in them. You can drill a hole, put a screw in it, and then pull that. You can cut them, just whatever it takes. There will be no survivors. I'm going to do a tangent line from the bottom here out, and then pry it up and pull it. That should be enough to peel it up. I have a customized screwdriver that's been ground down kind of sharp for doing seals like this. You can see I'm getting this pried up. You want to be careful not to nick the shaft here. That's our main objective, is to get this to pry up so we have something to grab onto. But we don't want to cause any damage if we can keep from it. If you do, it's not the end of the world, but it may mean that you got to do a lot more work with your shaft or replace the shaft. We bring in our secret weapon. Brace the other wheel.
Feels like.
You see how that might be handy now and then. We're going to wipe some things out so that our tape will stick. Because of the machining that's done on these, they tend to be a little bit rough, not to the naked eye, but to a seal. You damage your seal a little bit. Check and make sure that if there are any burrs or scratches, we want to get those off. So where it's dark colored, you can get away with murder just about, but where it's clean and clear, down below that, you want to be real careful. You can see that there's some chew marks down at the bottom there. We'll see if we can clean that up a little bit and smooth that out. So a little bit's happened since you last saw. What we did is we pulled the spark plug wire off. It's easier the first time. It just looks like that. That's your spark plug. Now the thing can't run. Pull starts on the front, and we secured the handle that drives it to go forward. With every pull of this, this would rotate. And the reason we did that is to get this facing into the light and be able, I'm right-handed, so I want to be able to get the file on the right-hand side. You can see that that's catching on the screwdriver. I have this small file set. I'll leave a link in the description where you can find one. I just pick one that's got a flat bottom. What I'm doing is I'm just very lightly, almost no pressure. So if I'm going here, I barely even take the oil stain off of it. But I just kind of feel out where it is, get on a high spot, then bear down on the high spot. Keep moving, don't stay in one spot. This is a practice grounds here. This is outside of the sealing area. It's starting to get a little smoother, but I can feel that there's something here. Just do a little testing now and then, wipe often. But just try to just stay only on the high spots. Keep moving, go light till you find where you want to bear down on it. Bear on it for a minute, make a curve of it. There's some technique to it. That's why it's nice to have a practice area. But once I get good and practiced and I know how hard this metal is, I know how aggressive the file is, I've gotten to know it a little bit, then and only then I'll go down in here where the seal is. Because it's one of those things, like the saying goes, measure, mark, check, cut, because you can't uncut something, you can't unfile something. So I want to make sure that I get it nice and flat down there. You can feel there's a high spot right there. So I'm going to get over the top of it to where I can feel it. And keep moving. At the same time, I'm being careful of this little edge here. This edge is not critical, but I'm not trying to take metal off of it, so I'm going to try not to take metal off of it. Easy to get so focused on one thing that you cause another thing. First nice sunny day we've had in a long time, so the goats and the dog, everything wants to get out and play. You can expect that on the soundtrack, that's what that is. What you're hearing is one of the biggest, fluffiest, cushiest St. Bernards you've ever seen. The ones that have like the little barrel around their neck that go look for lost skiers and hikers. That's what that dog is. You see a big burr right there. I'll do another practice run on that. Nothing. Smooth. Once you got it figured out how hard to push, you can boogie on it pretty good and get it knocked out. You just got to bear in mind you're not trying to take out the whole area. You're not trying to take out the neighborhood. Just the high spots. Just the sharp stuff. If you have a sharp tooth in this, it'll just chew the seal up and be real aggressive with it. Now bear in mind the lesson that we're learning from this at the same time that we're cleaning it up and learning how to cover tracks from the past. We want to be real careful when we're taking the seal out. So if you need to destroy the seal to grab onto it, go ahead and destroy the old seal. It's no big deal. It's going in the trash anyway. Trash can's not going to be the wiser, not going to care. It feels fine. You want to try that and feel what it feels like without a glove on? This is your machine. You make the final call.
Oh yeah, well.
Had you felt it before?
Yeah.
So we don't want a hole because a hole can pass oil, but we don't want a burr because a burr will destroy the seal. Right, should we show them the secret weapon?
Yes.
This is our secret weapon. I angle this down at about a 45-degree angle. Myself a little tail. I'll stick it down in there just a little bit. The reason why I do that, this is kind of hard metal, at least it should be, hope it is if it's quality. The surface from machining it can kind of make it like a file and it can chew up your seal a little bit. So we're just taping on the outside because it's so long. A short commute, no big deal, you can lube through that. Another thing is that this leading edge, because it's been rusted and dirty, nice to have a little cigar ramp to get up, push it flat. Take some spray silicone, doesn't matter what brand is, we're not sponsored on this by any means. Grab my grease gun because I need just a dab. Grab just a little bit of grease because this is gear oil, this is compatible. A lot of grease on the tape. I'm going to take a little grease, especially on the leading edge that's going to go on first because it's a low spot in there. I'll wipe my finger with it just like I'm taking a putty knife and pushing it off. I go down like this. I did my tape this direction. You can kind of work it in a circle like a piston ring, or you can just spin it down on like that. But spinning it down the tape's a lot easier on it than having it go down a machine surface on a hard metal shaft. So you're going to hear a little pop, pop, pop. So we're in as far as we're going to go by hand. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pick the tape back up, pull it off. All the tape's doing is it's just a protection. Imagine sliding down some old prickly grass versus laying down a slip and slide. This is our slip and slide. It's just not yellow. It's better to get it all out if you can. So this one's being a little more stubborn. I think that when I pulled it up, I made it pile up to where it was thicker than what we can get out. So to get past that, I'm just going to twist, and at the same time I'm twisting, I'm going like this. That gets it to pop up and out. We're going to have to rely on our lube on this one. Go ahead and look underneath of there. You can see the mistake that I made. I got a little too aggressive with it and it piled up because it crossed over. It was too thick to fit through.
Tape saves you a lot of cleanup, but you don't want to go too far or else you can have it trap like I did. Lesson learned.
So we're going to add a little grease. It's got kind of like a short commute, so we're just going to like that. Just kind of walk the seal over that shaft until I get to the grease, and then get it to click back in. You could grease the whole thing, but that's kind of messy too. Should have filmed the other side and then we just pretend it was all just fine and dandy, right? The good thing about not editing that stuff out is if you run into the same thing, A, you won't feel bad. The whole idea is to empower you and make you feel like you can do it, and then give you the skills so that you can do it. Rock it until you're flat. The objective here is to make sure that it's nice and flat. If it seals at an angle, it's not going to seal. The reason why I'm using the screwdriver over the top instead of just hitting it directly too is I want it to max out. The screwdriver hangs off at both ends of the seal, and when it hits this, it causes it to stop. Your fingertips have an amazing ability to be able to sense a difference. You know, like even tissue paper, if you're sliding along, you can feel it when you hit it. So just check, make sure we're good. We are. Make sure that our valve stem's out so you can get to it. Because we did it on the side, this way we don't spill the fluid, so there's less cleanup, but then we don't have to go back in and fill that up. If you do spill a little gear oil, if you got to this video late, this is the plug where you fill it, pull it out, fill it up. Leave a little room for air for expansion and stuff. Don't fill it all the way full. Hope you enjoyed the video. If this helped you, share it with other people and help them too. Thanks for watching. Cheers.
A little public service announcement. If you have pets or animals, farm or otherwise, treat them with respect. Don't abuse them. Don't throw them around. Typically, if they're misbehaving, it's because you're not feeding them properly or you're scaring the crap out of them. There's no excuse for stuff like this. You chose them. They didn't choose you. Be patient.